and the Championship, Chapter 4, entitled The Target. The Target had many nicknames: Lumpkin the Pumpkin, the Lethal Launcher, Hank the Tank. All the aliases hinted at what was obvious to anyone who met him. Henry Lumpkin, Jr., that was his full name, though woe to any classmate who called him Henry or Junior to his face, was big, very big, and he was mean, very mean. He was a class bully in a class all of his own. He picked on girls and he picked on boys. He picked on kids who were older, on kids who were younger, and on kids exactly his age. Although he wasn't particularly smart, Lumpkin did display an unnatural aptitude for whomping and whipping, punching, pushing and poking, smashing and mashing, teasing and taunting. He took an active interest in all matters military and displayed that interest whenever and on whomever possible. Yet while Lumpkin was an equal opportunity bully, he had always paid particular attention to Leon. During preschool, the attacks were pretty crude: playground kicks, lunch line pokes, and the occasional snatched nap blanket. But as Lumpkin got bigger and bigger and bigger, he refined his methods. By second grade, he had perfected tripping. Third grade saw the introduction of the Howlitzer, alias the Ow-itzer, or when the victim was a girl, the How It Hurts Her, a move that sent its victim flying into the closest available wall. For each of these innovations, Leon had been an unwilling test subject. All that seemed about to change. Lily Matisse rejoined the boys behind the trash can. "Payback time," PW declared. "Think about it. No more rope burns." "If it works," said Lily Matisse. "Oh, it'll work," PW said. "Won't it, Leon?" Leon remained silent. He was too busy preparing Pumpkinhead. "And when it does work," PW continued, "there'll be no more purple nurples or noogies or dead arms or dead legs or kick me signs or wet willies or—" Lily Matisse cut him off. "What's a wet willy again?" "Amateurs," PW sniffed. "Remember the time Lumpkin licked his finger, stuck it in Antoinette's ear, and swirled it all around?" Lily Matisse groaned. "That's a wet willy?" "Last time I checked," said PW. "Keep it down," said Leon. "He'll be in range soon." They watched and waited. "Sheesh," Lily Matisse exclaimed. "He's even huger than last year." "His army jacket barely fits him," PW marveled. "That's not the piece of clothing he has to worry about," said Leon, pinching the rubber band holding up Pumpkinhead's tiny underpants. 3 sets of eyes, 4 if one included the glass beads stitched into the doll's head, focused on the carrot-topped bully lumbering toward the limestone steps. "Range?" Leon inquired. "About 40 feet, said PW. Leon lined up the shot like a big game hunter, hunching slightly forward and planting his feet. 35 feet, said PW, his voice beginning to tremble. Leon pointed the beady eyes of the doll at the beady eyes of his human likeness. "Steady," PW warned. "Just a few more feet." Suddenly, Leon felt his hand yanked by Lily Matisse. "What the heck are you doing?" sputtered PW. "Teachers!" she exclaimed. Leon froze. He had no choice but to suspend the attack until Coach Kasperitis and Miss Hagmeyer, the dreaded 4th grade teacher, disappeared through the entrance of the school. "Okay," said PW. "The coast is clear." "Hey, Lumpkin's moving away," said Lily Matisse. Leon frantically worked Pumpkinhead's limbs, but with no effect on Lumpkin. "Darn," said PW. "He must be just out of range." The 3 watched the bully trip an unsuspecting 3rd grader. Not content to leave the kid sprawled on the pavement, he then accidentally kicked the victim's backpack into the gutter. By the time the ambush was over, a steady stream of first graders, holding their parents' hands, began climbing the school steps. Leon craned his neck. "I can't see him." "Hold on," said PW. "He'll resurface." "No," said Leon. "I'm going in." 10-4, said PW, "but you'll need cover." He gave Lily Matisse a knowing look, which she acknowledged with a nod. The two closed ranks to create a human shield. "Perfect," said Leon, scooting up behind. The surveillance resumed. 35 feet, PW whispered. 30 feet. Wait. He may be going after another kid. No, false alarm. Here he comes. Steady. Steady. Hold on just a little more. 25 feet. Target in range. Repeat. Target in range. Leon aimed, jerked, and twirled, swinging Pumpkinhead around once, twice, 3 times over his head, with the doll's underpants acting as the sling. An agonizing few seconds elapsed before PW announced the sad news. "Failure to launch," he said with a sigh. "Repeat. Failure to launch." Leon lowered his arms. "What happened?" Lily Matisse asked as gently as possible. "You mean what didn't happen?" Leon snapped. "Maybe someone didn't shake up the spit enough." "Hey, hold on," PW said. "I shook the bottle plenty. Maybe someone didn't apply enough spit." "I used the right amount," Leon grumbled. "Look, guys," said Lily Matisse, "it's no one's fault. Reshake the bottle, add some more spit, and try again. Lumpkin's still in range." They headed back to the staging area behind the trash can. After the necessary prep work, Leon gave Pumpkinhead another overhead turbo wedgie. "Nada," said PW. "Miss Skeptical was right. The action figure is a bust." Before Leon could respond, Lily Matisse cut him off. "Lumpkin spotted us. He's heading over." "Quick," PW cried. "Hide the evidence." Frazzled by the launch failure, Leon was slow to react. "Hurry!" cried Lily Matisse. PW grabbed Pumpkinhead, shoved him inside the pouch, and deftly lobbed the incriminating package into the nearby trash can. "Well, well," said Lumpkin, "if it isn't my good buddy Leon Zitzel, plus his 2 dorky friends, PU and Silly Matisse." He eyed the trash can. "What you doing?" "Practicing free throws," said PW. "Just tossing away his lunch," Leon improvised a little more plausibly. "His mom keeps giving him squid sandwiches." Lumpkin held out his hand. "Give me 5." Leon hesitantly slapped his arch-enemy's upturned palm, or tried to. Within seconds, he felt beefy fingers squeezing his wrist like a shop clamp. "Stop it," said Lily Matisse. "What's the matter?" Lumpkin sneered. "Don't you want Leon to be the first to experience my brand new patented blood bracelet?" Leon kept stone silent as his hand began to throb. "Cut it out," said PW. "How will you explain the grip marks when Leon goes to Principal Birdwhistle?" Lumpkin paused to consider the logic. "Maybe you're right," he said, releasing his hold. We wouldn't want Zitzel here to tattle on the very first day of school." And the next thing Leon knew, he was in a headlock. "The true beauty of the noogie," Lumpkin said, "is that it never leaves a mark." 5 long seconds elapsed before Leon felt a knuckle bone bear down on his scalp. If the blood bracelet felt like a shop clamp, the noogie was a drill. "Ow!" Leon hollered. "How original," Lumpkin crowed. Only after Leon began whimpering did Lumpkin release him. Leon staggered away, his head and wrist throbbing. Once he was sure Lumpkin had moved on, Leon returned to the trash can to retrieve Pumpkinhead. He reached in and groped about. "I can feel it," he told his friends. "Must be all the way at the bottom." He hiked himself onto the rim of the container. Cautiously, he extended an arm into the can and moved it around in small, investigative circles. No good, he said. I'll have to go deeper. He counted to 3, took a breath, and stuck his head into the canister, stretching his hands blindly until the fingertips of his left hand brushed against something promising. He stretched a little more and... Gotcha, he said, grabbing hold of the pouch. Still balancing on the rim, doing his best not to breathe, Leon began to back himself out of the trash can. All of a sudden, he felt something take hold of his ankles. The next thing he knew, he was slipping. Easy does it, an all too familiar voice purred. We wouldn't want Zitzel to hurt himself. Within seconds, Leon found himself scrunched upside down in the trash can. Hey, let me out of here, he howled, his legs flailing. Voices came from all sides. Pull him out! Touch him and you're dead. He'll suffocate. Tough, he deserved that, Duncan. The bell's about to ring. And the last prediction proved correct. The school bell did ring, after which Lumpkin's voice and the voices of Leon's friends died away, leaving him alone in dark, smelly silence.